Hi, Jeff Lotton here. Let me take you somewhere really unusual. I'm en route through the Arabian desert to the famous location of Wadi Rum and the famous site where the film with Peter O'Toole was shot, in the very location. I have been privileged to work in this location to demonstrate sustainable organic agriculture in the form of a productive oasis is absolutely possible and can be achieved in extreme situations. Here we are in an extremely dramatic desert landscape, and who would think that you could put an oasis up in this what looks like an incredibly barren landscape? Just the right combinations, of access to water, water recharge, water harvest, and a mixture of species. And here you have an emerging date palm overstory food forest, just 4 years old, and it's already in production. There's crops in between the rows of mixed fruit trees. Food forest rows take up just a little bit more than 50% of the landscape. 22 meters of food forest with a swale running through the middle, and 19 meters of crop, repeated as a simple system to demonstrate we can produce diverse, abundant organic landscapes in dry lands. We don't have to use industrialized chemical agriculture. I was lucky to be invited to demonstrate it is possible to produce organically, but I had to include exact design so that stability came from created ecosystem patterning, water soaking, and the assembly of the right plants and elements. As long as the majority of elements are in place, the result is extremely impressive. I'm walking inside a swale that gets flooded and irrigates this whole section. It's hard to imagine that you're actually inside one of the driest deserts in the Middle East. We've got grapevines over the top of us. We've got apricots, apples, figs, pomegranates, olives, date palms going up into the overstory. We've got cut legume trees for mulch all the way through, and this great big canopy. It's the end of summer, the grapes are starting to lose their leaves. There's a peach just here. This is truly a desert oasis irrigated by swale water. An amazing system. We're mimicking natural systems. We have to include anti-evaporation strategies as an imperative. Initially, everything is about reducing evaporation. We have to shade, we have to insulate, we have to buffer the winds. We have to soak water away from the sun. And we have to build organic matter within a system as quickly as possible with any living elements that will achieve those ends. As that starts to achieve, the soil creation achievement starts from reducing evaporation, insulation with ground covers that are succulents full of gels, capture minor wind flows and depositions of dust. Nutrient in the air is a crucial additive and benefit to all desert systems. The dust contains old nutrient. Nothing degrades quickly in a desert. The donkey dies in the desert, it just sits there for 2 or 3 years, drying down the skin and bones. Becomes dust and blows as ancient nutrient often. There's old nutrient, there's very valuable nutrient. Highly mineralized dust deposit into our system. We have to put up that system that interrupts the airflow and turns it into valuable captured airflow deposition. Ground cover succulent plants like the Carbaridus edulis is all gel, and it's a micro catch of nutrient, soil creation at the ground level. Our water has to soak in away from the sun. Our swales and our gabions, and even features like lemonias, are soakage systems away from the evaporative force of the sun. And then our organic matter has to add that addition to the soil. So we need support species. We need fast-growing, hardy desert trees. We need to put in the patterns specifically to shelter our crop gardens and our animal systems. Then we end up in abundance. Here we are with a classic permaculture technique, a banana circle here in a desert that goes over 50 degrees centigrade in summer and quite frosty in winter. It's not a place that people can normally grow bananas, but here we have bananas fruiting around a well mulched and manured banana circle. Classic example of using the right techniques. We can stretch the microclimate. So here we are, and we've got an apricot here. It's been pruned for winter. We've got a lucina that's been cut for mulch. We've got an apple coming through. We've got a beautiful healthy fig and an apricot. We've got succulent ground covers on the floor. There's a pomegranate coming. Here's a peach tree. This is a classic mixed organic desert food forest. Here's a citrus tree, probably a small mandarin. This is just 4 years old. There's date palms and olives. There's a pepper tree there for mulch. This is a whole mixture of organic food forest as an example that even in the hardest landscapes we can actually create absolute abundance. This ancient geology at Wadi Rum is 480 million years old. This is ancient country. But here, with a date palm overstory, a multi-species food forest is possible if we put in the right design system. Once we put in the soakage, once we put in the organic components into the soil comes alive and it turns into a productive ecosystem. This is something we have to realize is possible. If you can do it in these situations, you can do it anywhere. The spatial relationship is crucial. The edge effect between ecosystem and crop production, or ecosystem and grazing, is crucial in deserts more than any other climate. The establishment needs a strategy of exactly the right time of year to get the best result in the first 12 months, so we get the physical effect. But for a sustainable, permanent situation, we need more treed ecosystem than crop or grazing. So our tree lines on contour were a little bit wider than our crop system. We had 20 meters, 66 feet in width of desert food forest, to just less than that, about 18 meters, just over 55 feet in width of crop system. Over 10 acres, we put 3 lines of trees. And in between those 3 lines of trees, we put 2 lines of crop to start the process. When I was asked to actually design a system in these extreme conditions, the first thing I asked was, where is the water for establishment? What water can I use to start this system? Because later I can get a secret water supply not many people think of. The condensation drip off the trees once established. There's moisture in the air when it's not actually raining, even in deserts. And that can increase the precipitation 80% over rainfall. Those same trees trap the dust, those same trees create the shade and buffer evaporation, but they also drip early in the morning when there's that little bit of soil moisture in the air. But I've got to start the system. So when I start the system, I've got to have some water to get it going, and then we can build our way back to abundance. And it can be quite rapid, it can be quite quick. It can be very productive and high quality food. So in this situation, I had some surplus water from an industrial irrigation system that had a back pressure of surplus. So my system in this case started with wastewater from an industrial irrigating agriculture. A nice beginning. A waste product not being used, oversupply of water to agriculture created the permaculture desert oasis in just 4 years, and goes on indefinitely in potential.